What has been your WTF leadership moments? WTF leadership moments? Are you thinking it's got to do with my book, What the Finance? It's not got to do with my book, nor has it got to do with the WTF you are thinking. It is, what's the future of leadership? Have you thought about it? How would the future be for leaders? Is it going to be completely transformational, or do you think it's going to be unpredictable? Or is it going to be an adaptive style that you have to go, or you think it's going to be no change at all? Want to know more? Then come join me at the Phoenix 2021 Summit, where I'll be sharing my thoughts on what's the future of leadership. Good day, everybody. I'm delighted to be a Phoenix speaker yet again. And you know what is even more delightful? To meet you all virtually. Before we get started, tell me, how many of you here want to be happy? How many of you here want to be healthy? Go ahead and post in the chat box, and I'd love to see the chat box abuzz with comments throughout my talk today. Are you wondering? I'm here to talk about WTF leadership, which what's the future of leadership, and why am I talking about health and happiness? Wait. Let me explain. Whoever, whenever, from time immemorial, nobody is going to say, no, I don't want to be happy. No, I don't want to be healthy. And my friends, that's exactly our expectations of a good leader. Because be it a business or the nation, everybody wants a good, if not a great leader. Don't you agree? And that's why I say leadership never goes out of fashion. So when we talk about leadership, what are the factors you think that makes a great leader? What actually differentiates a good leader from a great leader? What is your definition of a great leader? Go ahead and post it in the chat box again. Leadership, I would say, means different things to different people, but they are all perspectives. But most importantly, all these aspects of leadership revolves around the values of leadership that's dear to you. So, how do you gear up with the leadership skills for the future? You know, when I was preparing for this talk, I had done a poll on LinkedIn asking people what is their opinion, what do they think the future of leadership is going to look like. And some of them said, like you see here, that it needs a complete transformation. Some of them felt, no, there's no change required. Yet few others said the future is unpredictable, and majority of them said that one needs to adapt. So what do you think? And you want to know what I think? It's going to be a mix of all of these factors. And wait till I share my viewpoints on this. So what is going to be your takeaways from today's session? You would get to know what you need to do to step up your leadership performance for the future. What are going to be the risks and opportunities for future leaders, and how to be an adaptive leader for the future. So that's what we are going to be discussing in my talk today. Let's take a moment's pause. If we were to step back in time into an era where there was no technology, there was no internet, how did people manage? Let me take your attention to the Indian history. Prince Ram was exiled to the forest for 14 years. The king, his father, King Dashrath, passed away, and his brother, the younger brother, had taken over the leadership. And he didn't want to, but how did his brother Bharat manage? Proxy leadership. He ruled the country on behalf of his brother Ram. How did he manage to do that for 14 years? Is based on the values that his brother Ram had inculcated. It's not just with Ram or the Indian history. Even if you were to look at the global history, take Alexander the Great, for instance. How did he manage? He had such a vast empire. No flights, no technology. And yet, these people were recognized as great leaders. How did they manage? And look at us. We are cribbing on managing our teams remotely. So what is it that we can learn from these leaders, the different kings who have ruled in the long bygone era? It was all to do with the values of leadership that they carried with themselves. So now, in a time where the leadership is remote, right, or probably it's a hybrid model, or you even have the work from home model, what does the future look like? Like I told you at the beginning of my talk, the health and happiness, remember? So in my point of view, the essence, the core of leadership is not going to change. A leader is expected to support the team. A leader should be there for the team, go the extra mile, and ensure the win is for the team and not for the individual. And this principle needs to be applied, be it in sports, be it in business, or be it in running the country. This is something exclusive for leadership. Leadership also is not necessarily to do with the designation, because I believe there is a leader in each of us. Each of us have traits of leadership in us, and all it takes is to maximize our potential. And not just that, identify it and see how you can grow as a leader, because I also think leaders are made, not just born, but you can make yourself and groom yourself as a leader. Being a business coach and a leadership coach, I had conducted a workshop for the different CXOs from large corporations. It was a leadership workshop. And guess what? There were some very valuable takeaways these CXOs had at the end of the workshop, which I'm going to share with you. These are the subtler aspects of leadership, which sometimes tend to get ignored. So what were their learnings and takeaways? One was that as leaders, they felt they don't listen enough. Are you listening to your teams? Do you know what they really want? As leaders, one needs to be appreciative. You need to go ahead and appreciate your team. As leaders, you need to be learning constantly and upgrade your skills. And as leaders, you need to put aside that ego and communicate well with your team. And lastly, their biggest takeaway was leaders need to be mindful about their actions, their talk, their behavior, because the leaders are the ones who are setting the culture of our organization, and the team members only follow the leaders. So if that be the case, we spoke about the essence of leadership. Based on this essence, how will the future of leadership look like? How can you step up your leadership performance and gear yourself for the future to step up? If STEP were an acronym, I'd like you to take a moment's pause and think. Would you like a leader who's selfish or selfless? Would you like a leader who's a threat creator or somebody who's trustworthy? Would you like a leader who's an egoist or empathetic? Would you like a leader who's painful or purposeful? So my friends, if you could be a leader who's selfless, trustworthy, empathetic, and purposeful, you would be able to step up your leadership. A little bit of transformation is needed. A little bit of unpredictability always there. A little bit of adaptiveness should be made. And a little bit of your essence makes you great. Leaders got that drive. Wouldn't you agree with me? How did you like the song? But you know what? Leadership is not a laughing matter. Now, did you think what's there on my screen? That actually represents the risks and opportunities of future leaders. What are the risks that they have? One of the risks is to build trust remotely. It's not easy. Another risk is the capability to get things done and communicate effectively despite being remote leaders. Another risk is the agility to change with the rapidly changing environment and the requirements. And yet, with all these risks, there are many opportunities where you can transform yourself. And what are these opportunities? You have opportunities to build high-performing teams. You have an opportunity to grow a successful business and an opportunity to create history, to leave behind a legacy. And that, how would that make you feel? Wouldn't you feel good and great about yourself? Right? So go ahead, see what it takes and how you can go about it. We also said the future of leadership is unpredictable. Yes, it is unpredictable. But then, my friends, what is it that you can control? How can you take charge and control things that are within your ambit? So what's required for that? Now, if future was an acronym, how does that look for future leaders? Is F for foresight. They need to have the foresight. U is to upskill themselves. T is to put the team first. The second U is to uphold your leadership values. R is to respect the team and get the respect from the team as well. And the E is to see you're able to engage with the team and educate your team. That's how the future of leadership is going to look like. We also spoke about being adaptive as an adaptive leader. Now, if you were to look at any parent, right, how the parents tend to adapt themselves with the kids and see what they really want, and being harsh and strict on them when it's required and being soft on them when it's required. Leadership is no different. So what are the future skills required for being an adaptive leader? You need to have a global approach, a mindset, because the world is now shrunk. So you need to broaden your views and visions. You need to surf with that wave, because when there are opportunities, go and get them and do what is your best. You need to have an attitude of serving the team. And that's why servant leadership is getting very popular. You also need to be a coach, where you are able to coach your team. And of course, you need to be tech savvy, because we are living in a digital era. That apart, you need to have a very good emotional quotient, because that's when you'll be able to connect better with your team. And of course, be a very good communicator who is engaging the team despite being a remote team. So what would I like to conclude with is leadership is all about values. And that's what the future of leadership is going to be, based on the values that you carry with yourself and give the team. So if values were an acronym, what does that look like? V stands for vision. You need to have a vision for the future and plan accordingly. A is the adaptability, but you must be able to adapt with integrity. L stands for leading with responsibility, because leadership is no mean feat. You have a lot of responsibility that comes along. U is being unbiased and uplifting your team. E is to empower and inspire your team. And S is to serve and build trust with your team members. And that's why, my friends, I say the future leader drives high performance, and that results in financial success. I'm happy to connect with you guys. My social media handles are the Game Enabler. And feel free to reach out with me on LinkedIn, my YouTube channel, and other social media. And yes, of course, you have my books. Go ahead, get them. What the Finance, Where's the Moolah, and Get High, How to Coach Yourself for High Performance. Do read it and share your views with me. I'd love to hear from you and be connected with you. And yes, my friends, if you have any questions and answers about what I spoke, I'm here for you, waiting to hear from you. And I'd like to sign off, wishing you the very best of leadership. Be an awesome, rocking leader of the future. Signing off here is Sangeeta Shankaran Sumesh.
Thank you, Sangeeta, for the fantastic messages on what the future of leadership holds. I think leadership is all about the values, as you stipulated. And I think I really like the attributes you've talked about: the listener, the communicator, the mindful of the actions, sets the tone for the culture. Keeping that perspective in mind, I have a few questions for you. So you said the leadership is not necessarily about the designation or the title. So what exactly that hold for? What exactly that mean?
Great question, Zishan. So let me share a real life example. So many years ago, when I was working, I used to have somebody who used to serve us tea at work. And believe me, with her, right from the junior most to the senior most in the organization, used to be really scared of her, because she would serve us the tea or coffee. And if we didn't have it on time, she was huge. She would come and stand there and she would say, "What is this? You haven't finished this yet?" Because, when it gets cold, people just waste it. And you see, she's been right. She's doing her work and she's doing it with a lot of care. And her objective is to get her things done. So that's why I say leadership is not really got to do with any designation, right? It is what is there, what do you bring to the table? Are you able to do your job in a great manner and which is productive and efficient for the business? So end of the day, that's what matters. And that's why I say it's not really got to do with the designation.
No, absolutely. It perfectly aligns with how it should, a true leader should be. So the core message of your entire talk is about the leadership values, and you talked about at length on that. So what are the other leadership values would you recommend apart from the ones you've mentioned in the talk? So what are your most pressing leadership values you would like us to go with that?
Right. So I would say, you need to integrate whatever are your personal values. It could be things like the ethics that, that matter to you, the kind of respect that you give to your team members, the people around you, and the kind of respect that you get back, the kind of attitude you adopt, right? These are some important core personal values that definitely need to get reflected in your leadership style. That apart, what's very important for a leader is also how you handle failures. What are the lessons learned and how are you implementing and educating your team members? Because this speaks volumes about a leader. That apart, of course, the kind of resilience, the resilience to bounce back, because failures, everybody tends to face them at different points in time, at different times. So how resilient is the leader to bounce back, because the leader paves the way for the team. And of course, how is, as a leader, how are you contributing to the culture of the organization, right? Because leaders are followed for their culture as well. So what exactly do you bring about to the table? And therefore, I would nudge and urge the leaders to think and reflect on what are the values that are core to you as an individual that you are promoting as a leader.
Absolutely. I mean, if you all see the circumstances evolve, the leadership styles evolve, the leaderships themselves evolve. So what is your piece of advice as a business and leadership coach to maximize that potential and take it to the level where they start really creating an impact on the organization and to their team?
Easy. You know what I would say for that? Cheat more. You're wondering what cheat is all about, right? So here I am with another acronym that is cheat. So the C here stands for collaborate. Collaborate with your team, so that you are able to brainstorm together. Let me give you a small example here, a real life one. One of the airline companies, right? They wanted to bring down their costs. Now, what they found was when they did a detailed study, if you remember earlier in the aircrafts, the no smoking signal that's there, that's reflected in the passenger seat in front of you, it used to consume extra fuel because, the lights used to go on saying, no smoking, and then, put on your seat belts while taking on, landing and going. So they wanted to bring this cost down, and I was just wondering, how, because on the whole, for the whole year, this cost was being quite significant. So just as they were mulling over it, guess what? The guy who cleans the planes, he came up with a brilliant idea. He just said, why don't we put stickers? And boom, the cost comes down significantly just by an idea that a team member, the junior most team member, actually brought to the table. And that's why I say collaborate with your team and ensure you bring out the best intent. So that is the C for collaborate. And then comes H. H is for high performance. High performance in your work as a leader, because you lead by example as the leader. And that's why high performance becomes important. E, of course, is to empower the team so that, they are equipped to do the way that you want them to perform. And just like how Fazila said about, the CPO, the Chief Performance Officer, by doing the high performance that you can contribute, and by empowering the team, you're actually setting the right tone within the team. A is to adopt the agile mindset. Be flexible, be adaptive, and you don't really have to be clinging on to certain things. So just adopt the agile mindset, and T is to treat with care. I want to emphasize the importance of empathy yet again, because especially in the times that we are in, empathy is so important and it's so crucial, because we need to be empathetic as a leader. I got to know something few days ago during these times of pandemic. A particular family was affected with COVID. The entire family was suffering, and the boss calls up this person and then he says, "Hey, have you met your sales target?" Right? I mean, these times are challenging for everybody. Yes, so you need to be a lot more empathetic, and that's the message that I want to leave everybody with. So C is to collaborate, H is for high performance, E is to empower the team, A is the agile mindset, and T is to treat with care.
No, absolutely. I just have got about 40 seconds left and I keep my eyeballs on the timer. So with that, empathy brings me a very compelling question. So as a leader, you need to resolve the conflicts in your team, even within in your own mindset. Either I go for A plan or a B plan. So in just 30 seconds, what are your takeaways on you want to nuggets of information you would like to give us to us on how to resolve conflicts?
Yes. So, that's why I spoke about parent leadership. So, they say if you have a child, you're a parent. If you have two, you're a referee. And the same thing applies for leadership as well when you're having many people to handle. So, go ahead, be the kind of referee, but do things that's right to you and that resonates with you, as well as holding the leadership values that you take along.
No, absolutely. Thank you very much, Sangeeta, for sharing an excellent piece of details around what the future of leadership looks like. A lot of great points, great messages, agility. You talked about the listener as key attributes, communicator, mindful. I'm really looking forward to hear you again in the future. And thank you once again.
Thank you so much, Zishan. It was amazing to be part of the summit again, and I'm happy to connect with people. These are my coordinates that you see on the screen, and I will be around for the networking as well. And thank you so much, and wishing the rest of the summit a rocking time as well.
Thank you very much, Sangeeta.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye.